Papa Piccolo, written by Carol Talley, illustrated by Itoko Maeno. To Papas Everywhere. When nighttime came to the canals and narrow streets of Venice, and most everyone went inside and turned on the lights, Piccolo went out. The dark was full of possibilities. Who knew what Piccolo might find inside that open window? Perhaps a shiny trinket, a dash of cream, or a pretty yellow canary. Who knew what waited in that trash can in the alley? Perhaps a bit of sardine or a scrap of cheese. If a flower pot crashed from a window ledge or a trash can lid clanged to the ground, all the better. Piccolo would be gone like magic before Signora could throw open her door. Piccolo was a tomcat, and he lived for adventure. Late one night, on the old stone bridge across the Canal Tolentini, Piccolo found something that started him on his biggest adventure yet. It was only a cardboard box, but curious Piccolo poked his nose inside. "Why, look!" exclaimed Piccolo to his old friend Caesar. "Kittens! Now why are 2 kittens alone in a box on a bridge? Where do you suppose their mother is?" Caesar looked into the box at the 2 big-eyed kittens, one spotted like a leopard and one striped like a tiger. "It's clearly a sorry situation," Caesar said, "but what can we do? We don't know anything about kittens." "I know one thing," said Piccolo. "It's past these kittens' bedtime." And then Piccolo sang a little song he remembered from long ago about stardust and moonbeams and goldfish. In no time the kittens were sound asleep. As the bells of Venice chimed the small hours of the night, Piccolo and Caesar hurried on over the bridge. Caesar disappeared down a crooked alley, and Piccolo crept into an empty crate. "I think those kittens liked my singing," he said to himself. And soon Piccolo was asleep too. Of all the boats and barges and skiffs and scows in Venice, the most famous is the gondola. Piccolo awoke the next morning to the voices of the Barbaro brothers, preparing their sleek black gondolas for another day of carrying tourists up and down and around the city's canals. Piccolo had a keen interest in gondolas and in the breakfasts of gondoliers. "Buongiorno, Piccolo," the gondoliers called when their favorite tomcat slipped out of the shadows. "Hey, Piccolo, what mischief are you up to today? How about a sweet bite, Piccolo?" Piccolo had already seen the youngest brother, Luigi Barbaro, break off some bits of pastry and place them, as usual, at the edge of the canal. But Piccolo was an independent cat, and as usual, he pretended not to notice. Instead, he leaped to a nearby railing, prancing like a carnival acrobat from post to slippery post. As he enjoyed the laughter and applause, suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, Piccolo saw 2 balls of fur flash by, and his pastry had vanished. "Those kittens!" Piccolo flew after the little criminals, crying, "Stop, thieves!" He was so angry. "Taking food from Bambini, Piccolo," laughed Luigi. Piccolo skidded to a halt. Now he felt ashamed. As the hungry kittens feasted on Piccolo's breakfast, he turned and strutted off, declaring, "I hate pastry anyway." Piccolo was halfway over the bridge when Luigi called to him again. "Hey, looks like you've got your hands full. Lots of mouths to feed, Papa Piccolo." Piccolo wheeled around to find the 2 kittens at his heels. "Scram, you ragtags! I'm not a papa cat, I'm a tomcat. You'll have to find your mama or learn to take care of yourselves." But there is nothing more playful than a kitten, and nothing more persistent than one who has been fed. Wherever Piccolo went that day, the spotted kitten and the striped kitten were close behind, peeking around a flower pot, a crate of melons, a stack of straw hats. When Piccolo stopped to watch the pigeons in the Piazza San Marco, he could feel the kittens' eyes watching him. When he begged some soup from a busy housekeeper, the kittens were there to lick the saucer clean. The kittens followed Piccolo up steep steps, down tangled alleyways, over big bridges and crumbly little bridges. And that night, when the weary Piccolo curled up in his crate near the Canal Tolentini, those kittens curled up beside him, just as if they were at home. Piccolo opened one sleepy eye the next morning to see the puzzled face of old Caesar. "I had hoped you would accompany me to the fish market this lovely morning," said Caesar to Piccolo, "but I see you have guests. Have you perhaps adopted these kittens?" "I'm afraid they've adopted me," replied Piccolo, "and something has to be done about it. It's time for a talk with Sophia." Piccolo, in fact, had a plan. There are house cats and street cats and warehouse mouser cats, and there are shop cats, like Sophia. Caesar and Piccolo found Sophia, as usual, in the elegant window of Zampetta's shoe store in the Grand Canal. But when Piccolo presented his plan to Sophia, she just laughed. "Me taken 2 homeless kittens? Oh, Piccolo, caro mio, you must be kidding. My days as a mother are long past. You can give the kittens a home, Piccolo, and why not? A papa can do what a mama can do, and you can be a papa, Piccolo. All it takes is love and care and time and patience. And of course—" Sophia stopped. She was looking at the kittens. "And of course," she gasped, "a sense of adventure." "Oh no," groaned Piccolo, as the kittens were chased from the shop. "See what I mean?" cried Sophia, as they leaped into a water taxi. "Your problem is solved," declared Caesar as the taxi sped away. Piccolo's first thought was, "Good riddance." But that night, wandering empty streets, Piccolo had other thoughts. He wondered where the kittens were, whether they had had any supper, whether they had a safe place to sleep. Piccolo was worried, and Piccolo was lonely. And when morning came, the brothers Barbaro found him sitting forlorn on the old stone bridge above their gondolas. "Why so glum, Piccolo?" asked Luigi. Piccolo did not even look his way. He did not notice the laundry barges pass by carrying fresh linens to the big hotels, or the garbage barges hauling away the city's refuse, or the police motorboats on patrol, or the water taxis transporting eager tourists. The sun moved from east to west, and morning became noon, and noon became afternoon, and still Piccolo did not move from his spot. Caesar and Sophia joined Piccolo on the bridge. "My poor kittens," sighed Piccolo. "But Piccolo," asked Caesar, "do you really want those kittens? Taking care of kittens is a big job. Maybe it's too big a job for you." "Nonsense," protested Sophia. "Those kittens need someone to take care of them, and I think Piccolo could do just as well as anybody else." "I think I could too," said Piccolo, "but I don't know if I'll ever see them again." With that sad thought, the cats fell silent. The sun began to sink on another Venetian day. The gondoliers returned for their supper, first one, then another. And then young Luigi Barbaro came around the bend with 2 passengers still on board, one spotted and one striped. "Look what I've found," called the laughing gondolier. "Is anyone looking for these world travelers?" "The scalawags are back," cried Piccolo as the kittens tumbled onto dry land. "Where have you kittens been? To China like Marco Polo?" "I think these wanderers just got their names," laughed Sophia. "Welcome back, Marco," said Caesar. "Welcome home, Polo," said Piccolo. And the 3 happy cats looked very much like a family. "The first thing I'm going to teach you 2 is how to find your way home," said Piccolo. But that's not all he taught the kittens. He taught them how to find sardines, how to get a cool drink of water, how to eat spaghetti, and how to wash up afterwards. Piccolo taught the kittens how to climb in high places and always land on their feet. Teaching Marco and Polo everything a cat needs to know was not an easy job, but as Piccolo often said to his friends, "What an adventure!" One fine September day, everyone in Venice assembled on the banks of the Grand Canal. It was the day of the regatta, when all the most beautiful boats and barges in Venice are decorated with flowers and flags and banners and gilded ornaments, and their crews of oarsmen get dressed up in dazzling costumes. Caesar and Sophia were among the crowds cheering the splendid procession down the canal. They never missed a regatta, but today they were watching for one particular gondola. When it swung into view, they cried out, "There it is!" The young gondolier leaned into the oar, maneuvering his craft skillfully through the crowded waters. It was Luigi Barbaro, of course, and perched proudly on an embroidered pillow in the very front were 3 cats. As the gondola drew nearer, a little girl at the water's edge cried out, Look at the mama cat and her kittens!" Sophia and Caesar looked at each other and smiled. "That's no Mama Cat," laughed Caesar. "That's Papa Piccolo." The end.